Hi guys, I want to walk you through creating a fun photo mashup. These could also be called like a collage or different kinds of things. But these are really fun to play with. So I've provided a bunch of photographs here that are linked to the drive in our chapter 2 project. So you can find them here where it says link to some Halloween photos. And I want to demonstrate what we did in class, which is choose a background image, choose something to layer with it as a focal point, and then choose a texture, which is going to provide like kind of some glue to make it all look like it goes together. So let's go ahead and have a look. So I've downloaded those 3 pictures from that Google Drive to Photoshop. I already have one open here. This is going to be my background image. So what I want to do is I'm going to grab my focal point and I'm going to hit Command A, Command C. If you have a PC, that's just Control. When I say Command, your version is Control. And then Command or Control V to paste. So now, as you can see, if I turn this layer on and off, I have that layer is still there. And then Photoshop just puts basically another photograph or another picture, another piece of paper stacking on top of it right on top. So here's my kitty cat. What we're going to do is we want to get rid of this background and really only have the kitty cat. So what we're going to do is hit this button right here, which is the magic wand tool. And you're going to go ahead and actually, I'm going to choose quick selection tool instead. That's right underneath, and add the plus. So let's make that a little bigger with my bracket key and go ahead and select the cat. Hopefully you can see this okay on your screen. I'm not being super careful, and you'll see why in a minute, but I just need to kind of go around and get the majority of the cat. All right, so now there's this button at the top that says select and mask. We're going to click that. And you can see the color of my masked area is red. It doesn't need to be red, but it is at the moment. So I could make it white if I want or whatever. But what I wanted to show you guys is there's this tool right here, because if I leave it as is right now, the edge of my cat doesn't look super great. That's not what fur looks like. So you can play with this transparency opacity thing, and that just shows you what your edges look like. So I'm going to grab this refine edge brush and just paint around the edges of my cat. And Photoshop is amazing because it knows that I want all these little hairs, but I don't want all the other chaos that was showing up before. So it's kind of smoothing out those edges, making them look a little bit more realistic, grabbing all those little individual kitty cat hairs, and it's going to look a lot more natural when I use it. So there's one area that's kind of bugging me, so I'm going to just add in some more kitty cat right here. Yeah, so that top tool is just kind of an added brush tool for the mask. The second tool is the refine edge brush, and you can just go in and make sure that's all working okay. That's pretty good. I might just leave it the way it was. All right, so then now down here, I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. So what it's going to do is it's going to mask all of that. So I'm going to click this mask button at the bottom where it says add layer mask. And now all of that background has disappeared. So on a layer mask, whatever is black is going to disappear. Whatever is white is going to stay visible. So let's move my kitty up a little bit. So I'm going to use the move tool, and I'm just going to slide the kitty cat up so it looks like she's kind of got her paws around a spider. That works. Now the next step is we're going to go ahead and grab my texture. So Command A, Command C, and Command V. And this time, instead of using a layer mask, we're going to use layer blending. So you can click over here on normal, and as you scroll down, you see all these different ways Photoshop can blend pictures together. It's kind of fun. And they have all these different kind of crazy reactions and things that you can do. Some of these are looking a little bit like fire, so that's a little dark even for Halloween. But it's just kind of fun to see what happens when the different images overlay. I sort of like this one. That one's kind of cool. Difference. I don't usually use that one a lot, but it kind of is interesting. What do I want to pick? I'm going to go ahead and choose, I'm going to choose color dodge. I think that's kind of interesting. If it's a little too much, you can turn the opacity of that layer down here. You also can add a layer mask to this. So if I want to see that texture other places, but not so much on the cat, I can add a layer mask here. And as long as I have black, remember black disguises or hides what we don't want to see, I can grab my paintbrush tool and I can go in and just paint over my cat so that it's not on top of her so much. And maybe if I want to turn the opacity of my tool down, that's up here. Maybe I want to just fade some of that texture so it's not quite so intense. There, that kind of works. So I'm sort of happy with that. So now maybe I'll fade it on the spider a little bit too. There we go. So now I have a background photo, a focal point picture, which is my cat, and a texture, which we used over the top of everything to kind of tie it all together. Added steps for bonus would be this layer mask on top of the texture if you feel like it's too strong in any one area. But otherwise, that's basically it. Then you're gonna just go up to File, Save As. Make sure you save it as a JPEG because that's going to work for your Wix account. I need to go to my desktop. I'm going to go to Photos in Progress, and I'm going to call this Halloween Sample. And I'm going to change Photoshop to JPEG and go ahead and hit Save. And we want maximum quality as long as this stays below 10 megabytes. If it gets above 10, or if you have slow Wi-Fi at home, you might have to turn that down a little bit. But normally I like to have it all the way up at the top for best possible quality. All right, so I wanted to show you this one more time with a couple other pictures. You had other options if you didn't want to choose a Halloween theme. You could also choose low light or shadows. So I'll show you these two pictures. These I got from the internet. Here's one. And here's two. I think these are just really interesting. So remember in class, we talked about how shadows for this intent is not just a photo that happens to have shadows in it, but where the shadow is really the focal point. So they have really strong contrast, crazy shadows going around, kind of fun to see. So I'm going to grab this one and hit Command A, Command C. I'm going to put it on top of this one. And I'm going to go up to my Move tool. Now I'm going to hit Command T to transform the size and make this a little bit bigger because I think I'm going to need it to be a little larger. And it doesn't matter to me if it fills the whole thing. I don't think it's critical. So I'll hit Return to set that there. And then on this one, let's see what happens if we just do layer blending. So if I come back over to normal and I start scrolling through, ooh, those are interesting. Almost like she's got a guy in her eye. There's a guy in mind. So these are fun to play with, you guys. I think screen looks pretty interesting. And then you can still kind of move that around depending on how you want the two images to intersect. So this is another option for you in terms of learning layer blending. It's a lower level of understanding, a little simpler. You didn't have to do any layer masking on this one, but still achieves a very interesting result. And certainly if you were doing this with your own pictures, it would even be stronger. So there's layers of this technically and also figuratively, but shoot for something a little bit outside of your comfort zone. See what you guys can do and get creative with it. So you might start using some pictures from the internet just to see what happens. And then from there, try to use some of your own, or feel free to grab some photos from the shared drive that I put up. If you don't have time to get your own pictures on this project, I can still see a lot of your progress with Photoshop as you continue learning there. So hopefully this will be helpful to you. Thanks, guys.